Let's talk goaltending a little bit. I know Russo, you jinxed Gus with your opening night column on him for the next game, though we're not necessarily worried about Gustavsson and what he's going to do this year. I thought really was an important moment. I think was Wallstedt on Monday night, his first start coming off that really rough season, and it really could have been one of those moments where it's like you blow a 3-goal lead and all of a sudden lose, and how you feel about yourself going into this week. And he really had a mindset that was really strong and sharp, and he really locked it down in overtime and 4 shootout attempts. And you can talk about the celebration, how much excitement and also like validation or relief or whatever. But he said he thought back to that last year in those moments. Like, I know what it's like to mentally break down. I know what it's like to kind of, get lost or have a losing attitude. And he just flipped the script, and that's really showed a lot, I think, to me about what he can be this year. And I don't know what you thought about that game, but what can have a lingering impact.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I totally, and that's one thing we saw in the preseason. He had 2 starts where he gave up a couple early goals and settled in and was great. And this one could have crumbled him. The guy on the other end of the net, Kemper, we used to see that all the time from him, where he was great. And then all of a sudden he would just crater on a couple goals. And we saw that in Minnesota. And last night, the way that he rebounded in both shootout, but especially on that 3-on-4 where he looked so at ease and everything was like almost in slow motion. I thought he looked outstanding, and so that's a good start. It's first home win. It's putting last season a little bit behind him. They're going to need him, as we've talked about a gazillion times, to win games this year. He's going to have to probably play in Philly, because I would assume that Gus gets tonight's game in Dallas. I would assume Gus gets the Washington game. Just because Gus was not very good in Philly last season in that weird game there where the Wild had a dominant performance out with a ton of shots and just he was not very good. I think he gave up 3 goals on 5 shots at one point in that game. So I would think that Wally's getting the second of back-to-back this week. So really good. As you mentioned with Gus, great opening night. I wrote the column that said that this is why the Wild invested in him. And then maybe in game 2, I should have said maybe the Wild should have invested. Maybe the obvious column there. So we'll see. I mean, I do think that their goaltending right now is the least of their concerns. That's for sure.